like, comment, and subscribe for more content.
What's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko podcast. I'm DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, I'm going to paraphrase the words of Vince McMahon from 1996 by saying, "The boyhood dream has come true for MD Shady." With today's special guest. It's a podcast with a special guest, and we're excited for this one, which without further ado, our special guest today, his original YouTube channel, before unfortunate circumstances happened earlier in the year, had almost 25,000 subscribers, which the current channel has almost 500 subscribers, with hundreds of videos and over hundreds of thousands of combined views throughout the years that he's been doing YouTube. He has over 3,000 social media followers across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. He is one of the OG toy collector YouTubers that have been going strong for over 10 years. Some people simply call him Michael, but everybody knows him as Filmaker Mike. Welcome to a Funko podcast.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Might as well kick off while obviously talking about Star Wars. You know, what got you obviously into Star Wars and collecting of the figures?
So with Star Wars, it was really during Episode 1, the prequel days. So a few years before Episode 1, the special editions were out. And I do remember as a kid, my uncle had a Betamax copy of Return of the Jedi. And he lent it to us. And I pretty much wore that tape down because I would watch it every day. And so fast forward to the special editions in the 97. And I was excited because I don't remember seeing A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. So I saw those on the big screen. And unfortunately got to skip Return of the Jedi since I figured, I already saw enough of it. But then I didn't realize, like, oh my God, that's a special edition. There's more updated effects and stuff. Anyway, I wasn't collecting figures then during the special editions, but I do remember going to the store and looking at them. It was when Episode 1 was about to hit that through a neighbor of ours, he was also a huge collector, he's much older than me, and he had a lot of the Power of the Force figures from the special editions. So I wasn't driving back then, so he would take me on a trip to the mall. We would go, and we were basically figure hunting. And I remember the first figure that I got was Darth Vader Power of the Force flashback photo figure. And I basically saved up my allowance to buy figures. That's how it started. And then after that, I got a young Obi-Wan, and then I got Padme, I got Anakin. The Darth Maul was the hard one to find. And I remember talking to one of the store employees in the Philippines. They have a toy store, a large franchise. It's called Toy Kingdom. And it's pretty much in one of the big mall establishments there. I remember speaking to the guy, his name was Mackie, the employee, and I asked him, like, hey, if you get a Darth Maul, can you hold one for me? And I left my phone number, and sure enough, a few weeks later, he gave me a call, and there was a Darth Maul waiting for me. And I do remember the Comtech chips. I love that stuff. And not too long after, the following year, that's when my family and I migrated here to the U.S. And it was really exciting because in the Philippines, it's much different now than it was before. But back then, it wasn't as easy to get a lot of the toys over there. I mean, you got a lot of the toys, but it wasn't like it is here where it's just everywhere. So when we moved here, that's when it really dawned on me, like, I'm here now in the States. So it was much easier to toy hunt and to buy figures. And I guess the rest is history.
What are some of your favorite figures you've collected over the years?
Definitely that Power of the Force Vader. It may not be the most accurate one as far as like screen accuracy, but it just has like a lot of sentimental value. Mostly it's Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, a lot of the Jedi main characters, and Ahsoka, of course, during the Clone Wars. I didn't start reviewing figures on YouTube until 2008, until around the Clone Wars era. And then over the years, I was collecting through Episode 2 and Episode 3. Episode 3, I didn't get as much figures, but what happened was I kind of took a break from it after Episode 3 because I thought, hey, it seems like it's done now. And then, of course, they announced the Clone Wars. I got to go to Star Wars Celebration. Dave Filoni back then wasn't as big a name because, of course, he was just starting out at Lucasfilm. But he gave a panel, and I attended the Clone Wars panel, and we were just so excited with what we saw. And after that, of course, we got the Clone Wars movie in the theaters, and that's when it hit big again because I actually did the Midnight Madness at Toys R Us. So around fall, I was looking at YouTube, and then I saw some collectors who were like reviewing Star Wars action figures. And I was like, this is interesting. I figured like, hey, I could do that too. So I figured I put my own spin on it and start reviewing, and there you go.
Actually, I was just going to go right into the segue of why you started your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it was basically that. I saw a few other Star Wars collectors who were like reviewing Star Wars action figures, and I thought this is interesting. So I started doing it. My first one was the Legacy Collection General Grievous, I think, or it may have been the Clone Wars Grievous. I know it was General Grievous, and I was really nervous at first. I did take some acting classes, and I figured I'd put in what I learned into that, into the camera. It took me a while to get comfortable, but then of course after a while, like it became just a natural habit, and it was just fun to connect with a lot of different collectors. Of course, this is way before Funko Pops, right? 2008. They weren't, yeah, there weren't Funko Pops yet.
No.
But of course, Funko was already in existence since '98, but
Yep.
it wasn't as big just yet. But yeah, I was all about the 3 3/4 Star Wars action figures. Also, like other action figures, G.I. Joe, DC Universe 6-inch classics, and all that stuff. But mostly, it was all about Star Wars. It was just different. The way Hasbro distributed figures back then, even during the Clone Wars, there was like figures everywhere. It's not like it is today where you'll be lucky if you find a full case. A store will get one case and then one collector goes and basically scoops all that up.
Clearly, you're doing everything right when it comes to YouTube, because obviously MD and I would just randomly watch YouTube videos back in, let's say, 08, 09, and you search up Star Wars collecting, your name basically pops up at the top. It's like how nowadays, if you search up like Funko Pops, Top Pop's name literally pops up even before Funko themselves. So back in 08 or 09, where there wasn't really any, I guess, collecting YouTube channels. I guess it'll bring into, obviously, your channel became so big that you ended up being monetized. So what were the requirements like back then? Because clearly this is over 10 years ago. So clearly in like 08, 09, I think YouTube was owned by Google for only, I think, 3 years at the time. So it was still fairly new, this whole thing. So what were like kind of the requirements at that time? Is it similar to what would be now with like the whole 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 views in 1 year?
I can't remember if it was 100 subscribers or 1,000 back then, but I know it was like, it could have been 100 or 1,000. Unfortunately, I can't like clearly remember. There was also like a number of hours that you'd have to reach, like as far as engagement or, other people watching your videos. Mm-hmm. But I remember I became a YouTube partner in 2010. So just 2 years after. It took a while. And again, I didn't start doing that for the sake of monetizing. But when I found out about it, I thought, hey, that's cool. Why not? Right. So when that happened, it was really exciting because back then I didn't do direct deposit yet. So I would get like actual paper checks. And on the checks, it said Google. So it was pretty cool. And like when I go to the bank and actually deposit the check, the teller was like, wait, you work at Google? And I said, well, I guess so, because they're paying me, right? So I thought that was really cool. I know I have some of those checks somewhere in a box, so I got to look for them and check them out sometime. But yeah, it was very different back then. Of course, they changed their analytics and the way the system worked over time. Like, it was just crazy how it grew. So I attended Star Wars Celebration in 2007. That was the first one. That was for 30 years of A New Hope. And then 2010 was the next Star Wars Celebration in Florida. And that's when I figured like I'd do a raffle and I'd ask like some of my subscribers basically, like if you would like to join the raffle, you could donate for a chance to win some of the collectibles I have. And then whatever money I raise, I'm going to use basically to go to Star Wars Celebration. It was fun and it was crazy because people just started sending, I guess it was like crowdfunding in a way before, it was like such a big thing. Someone even sent like $100 because they were like, I want to see you make it to Star Wars Celebration to see George Lucas because George Lucas was going to be there. So it was overwhelming and exciting at the same time. And I even had family who helped me out and pitched in. At the time, I wasn't working. I think I was still in school at the time. So I wasn't working full time yet. I did get to go to Florida. And when I went to Star Wars Celebration over there, a lot of people that have watched my videos were just like coming up to me at the convention. And it was just like weird. And at the same time, like, okay, this is kind of crazy, but this is kind of cool. Like people recognize me and they were calling me Filmaker Mike. So I was like, wow, okay. That was like the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. But it was fun. Yeah, it was great to meet a lot of the subscribers and a lot of parents with their young kids. The one thing that I really established with the channel was that I wanted to make sure that anyone could watch it. Basically, it was kid-friendly, it was family-friendly. The most it would be PG-13 as far as language, but that's it. Like, I wouldn't even go farther than that. But it was nice to hear parents say that, oh, we watch your videos and we enjoy your videos.
I actually noticed, I forget when it was, but I thought I would bring this up, and you could probably bring up the story on your Instagram page. There's actually a photo of you with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. George Lucas. How did you meet
Yes.
George Lucas? Was it at Star Wars Celebration or?
No. So to connect with that Star Wars Celebration, back then it was a different convention experience, right? So George Lucas was scheduled to have a panel on, I think, Saturday or Sunday of Star Wars Celebration. I think it was Saturday because that's the biggest day of the con. He was scheduled to have a panel for the Blu-ray of the Star Wars saga, which, of course, back then, this is 2010. I did not make it just for the fact that because people were basically camping out of the convention center to fall in line for that panel. And I was just like so tired. I was so exhausted. And I figured I'll just take my chances the next day. Fortunately, my grandfather lives there. So I basically got to stay with him for free, which was nice. And I also got to be with family there. My grandma dropped me off the next day. And lo and behold, I find out, of course, the panel is full. They've reached capacity. And I was like, this sucks. I was so bummed out, right, that I didn't get to at least be in the same room as George Lucas. So fast forward to, I think it was the third season of the Clone Wars. I got to go to Lucasfilm 3 times. I got to visit 3 times. They had Lucasfilm in San Francisco. They had some Clone Wars premieres, screenings, basically for mostly employees and a few like fans. So they had an announcement and they were saying like if any fans in the Bay Area would like to visit and basically check out a screening of one of the Clone Wars seasons. So for this one where I met George Lucas, it was screening of the Savage Opress trilogy. And his daughter, Katie Lucas, was one of the writers for that trilogy. So when I got to go there with my buddy Sean and my wife, so when we went there, it was funny because like before we go to the parking garage, security's there. When I pull up to security, the security was like, "Oh, Filmaker Mike." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." Before I found out the first time, like a few years before, that I was going to get to go to Lucasfilm because I emailed and I said, "I'm not in the Bay Area, but I'm driving all the way from Reno, Nevada. I don't care. I'm going to be there." The first video that I made that I found out I was going to Lucasfilm, I posted it on my channel, of course. And before I knew it, when I got there, Steve Sansweet basically like, I don't know if it was him or one of the Lucasfilm employees, saw it and basically forwarded it to the whole company. Like everyone saw that video of me being excited that I was going to get to go to Lucasfilm. I got to know like a handful of people there who were really nice. So anyway, the Savage Press trilogy screening, knowing that Katie Lucas was going to be there, I was telling my buddy Sean and my wife, like, you know, George Lucas's daughter is one of the writers for this. I have a feeling that he might be here because he's going to be supporting her, right? So we go in, we check in. They gave us like some free swag. They gave us some shirts and some posters, which is awesome. And then we're sitting down in the theater. The theater's filling up. And of course, there's some seats that have the reserved sign. We figured like, okay, that must be something special going on there. As the theater's filling up, I look back and then I see George Lucas right there. He's like maybe 30 feet away behind us. So I was like, I tell my wife and my buddy, like, George Lucas is right there. And they're like, where? Like, just act calmly. Like, he's right there. So like, we see him and we're like, okay, that's awesome. Like, we're going to get to see these episodes with George Lucas. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So we watched the trilogy. It's awesome. And that theater is just like the best of the best, basically, because of course it's Lucasfilm, right? So they have a Q&A after with Dave Filoni. And after that, they basically thank everyone and we walk out. And I'm hoping like, oh, maybe we can get to take a picture of George Lucas. But of course, there's a lot of people here. There's just no way. So down the hall, they have security, of course, and they have like one of those like a roped off section. You can't cross, of course. And we see George Lucas all the way there. And we're like, oh, well, that's it. Like we got to see him at least like, you know, that's as close as we'll ever be, I guess, right? As we're walking out, we're taking pictures by the Yoda fountain. My wife like basically nudges me and says like, hey, it's George Lucas. And he's walking out with Melody Hobson. They weren't married back then. They were still dating. And so I kind of just froze and looked. And then I basically thought, okay, what do I have to lose if I ask him, right? If he says no, well, at least I got to ask him. And I have that story to share. Like, hey, I asked George Lucas for a picture, but he said no. So we kind of rushed walking to him a bit and then just asked him like, hey, George, is it okay if we take a picture with you? So he looks at us and he kind of looks back and he says, okay, we'll just got to do it real quick before, you know, a lot of other people like swarm over. Otherwise, we'll never be able to leave. So we take a picture right there in front of the Yoda fountain with him. And Melody Hobson was the one who actually took that picture. That's like one of my most prized photos ever. Melody Hobson even said he doesn't usually do this. Of course, we thanked him after that. And we were just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
So I guess I'm going to segue over to MD, and I'll let him talk about his memories of watching Filmmaker Mike videos. I might as well. MD, what are some of your memories? Obviously, you're a
Oh,
huge fan.
yeah, it's kind of the same story that you had, like, never say never with meeting George Lucas. Now I'm talking to you, Mike, and it's awesome, man. Like, I've looked up to you for years. 2008 is probably when I started watching your channel, and I can remember the day that I first clicked on your video. I can't remember, like, what video it was, but there was something. I was probably just typing something about Star Wars in, and then I seen your channel name, and it caught my eye somehow. Just Filmmaker Mike. It was a clean, nice name for a channel, and I don't know, I guess it's history ever since. I really enjoyed all of your Clone Wars stuff, obviously. Really inspired me to collect Star Wars stuff. I have a ton of Star Wars stuff now, and I don't think without your channel I probably wouldn't have as much as I do.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that. Again, when I started the channel, I just thought it was a lot of fun. It was just
Yeah.
all about having fun and just sharing my passion with other collectors. It was just also basically about being me. I thought it was just fun to be creative, make something different, and hope that others would enjoy it. And then I do remember when I started reviewing Happy Meal toys, a lot of people were commenting like, why are you reviewing kids' toys? Why are you reviewing Happy Meal toys? Like, they were like so angry. And I thought like Happy Meal toys are fun. And like, I just thought
Yeah.
basically being a toy collector, it's still a toy and it's just it's not a collectible toy, but it's still a toy. And it was just fun.
All right, so I thought I'd move on to a cool little segment. I thought we'd all take the time to rank the Star Wars films, worst to best, in 3 different perspectives that we got here. So we'll start off with MD, and it's only going to be the original trilogy, prequels, and the sequels. We won't be counting Solo, Rogue One, although Rogue One I found was a pretty good movie. Worst to best. So you got 9 films to think about there, MD.
Oh my God, that's tough. That's really tough. If it was just the original 6, then that's a little bit easier, but now that there's 9, I haven't even thought of that. Okay, so I guess at number 9, I'd have to put Attack of the Clones. Then number 8 would be... Number 8 would have to be... Why am I blanking? What was the 8th movie called?
That was Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi, yes. Then it would be The Last Jedi. Number 9 would be at number 7.
All right, so Rise of Skywalker at number
Rise of
7.
Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah, so now you got 1 sequel, all of the original trilogy, and 2 prequels left.
Yeah. So then it would be Revenge of the Sith. Then at number 5 would be the 7th movie. Why am I blanking on the sequels?
Force Awakens?
Force
That-
Awakens, yes.
Okay.
The Force Awakens. Damn, I think The Force Awakens better than Revenge. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So then it would be Empire Strikes Back, then A New Hope, then The Phantom Menace, and then Return of the Jedi, because that will forever be my favorite Star Wars movie.
All right. Starting with the worst one, I find is Attack of the Clones, the second worst. I guess I'll say possibly, off the top of my head, I'll say Last Jedi. Well, what's next? Probably I would have to say Phantom Menace. I'm going to give number 6 to Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Then we go to number 5, and that is Force Awakens, which I find is the best one of the sequels. Now we go to the top 4. I'm going to give number 4 to essentially number 4, A New Hope. Number 3, I'm going to give it to Revenge of the Sith. I used to think that was my favorite, but there's a lot of ups in that movie. Definitely the best prequel. Number 2 is Return of the Jedi. Overall, great film. And then number 1, I have to say, is Empire Strikes Back. Overall, such a great Star Wars film. I could not figure out any flaws whatsoever in that film while rewatching it. So Empire Strikes Back is my favorite of the 9 films. Now we go to Filmmaker Mike. I can't wait to hear Filmmaker Mike's opinion.
Oh boy. Talk about pressure. So
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't like ranking the films, especially the Star Wars films. It's hard for me to rank them. I think basically because through each movie and each like trilogy, I was at a different stage of my life, like different age. So I still, and don't get me wrong, I still love them. It's basically like having to choose between my kids. And that's tough. Like you can't choose between one or the other. So I'm going to take a diplomatic approach as far as like ranking them. I basically love all the Star Wars movies, believe it or not. Yes, there are some flaws here and there when you look back at it. But at each point in time when I watched those movies, they were just like top notch. Like this is like a high bar for me that like when I was going to go watch a Star Wars movie, it was just like up there. I love all these movies. And Jar Jar Binks, I was 14 when episode 1 was out. I love Jar Jar Binks. I actually have a puppet of Jar Jar that they made because I thought the character was cool. My kids love Jar Jar. And I think George Lucas made episode 1 really for a certain specific audience. And that was for like really kids. But yeah, that's my rating, or not so much of a rating.
Yeah, my ranking, it was pretty much the same thing. Like, it was all over the place because it's hard to rank these films. We love them, right? So,
Right.
I guess we can move on a little away from Star Wars figures to Funko. Now, we've noticed with your channel, not only do you do figure hunts, but you also do Funko Pop hunts. And I thought we would ask here, how did you begin collecting Funko?
So I started around 2015, I want to say, like full on like collecting Funko Pops because of course of The Force Awakens. And I can't remember what year Darth Vader Chrome Hot Topic Pop came out.
That might have been that same year, actually, 2015.
Okay, yeah, that might. So when I saw that Hot Topic was releasing that, and I've seen these Funko Pops for like years, I picked up a few on clearance back in 2012. No one was minding them at Target. They had the Avengers Pops on clearance. I picked up Captain America, Nick Fury, and Iron Man. They were like clearance with a red clearance Target sticker for like $4 each. I picked them up. I was like, oh, it's really cheap. I love clearance, as I like to call them, steal of the deals. So I picked them up. And I got the Amazing Spider-Man also for like $6, I think, at Target. And then a Master Chief at Barnes & Noble. So this was like years before. And then just they were just sitting there in boxes. And then when I started hitting hardcore, like 2015, because what happened over the years was basically Hasbro changed how they distributed the Star Wars figures. So over the different collections of Star Wars action figures, the distribution changed and you just couldn't find as much anymore. It wasn't like before where you could just find what you go into the store and find what you're looking for. So Funko kind of filled that void of like, I don't have any Star Wars figures to hunt, or if I go to the Star Wars section, there's nothing there. I'll go to the Funko section and there's a lot of Funko Pops to choose from. Of course, Hot Topic will throw a deal of like 3 for $27. I mean, how can you not? You just think like, oh, I'll get one. Oh, but there's this deal. And that's the best thing about them, I think. They're so cheap for the most part, especially if they're brand new releases. Hunting Funko Pops has been a lot of fun. And now, of course, you can go to Target. They've got a section there. You can go to Walmart, Best Buy, Barnes & Noble, Hot Topic, of course, and then, just basically anywhere. And the fact that they are essentially the same size of a Star Wars action figure, only a different kind of dimension. Over the years, they've evolved. The sculpting has evolved. They can be really scary. They can look really cool. Of course, you've got Star Wars characters. You've got a wide variety of DC and Marvel and movie characters, TV characters, pop culture icons. So it's just been so much fun.
You probably obviously would collect the Star Wars lineup when it comes to Funko, considering that you collect the Star Wars figures. But what are some other lineups that you like to collect? I know as you've kind of mentioned Marvel and DC just now.
Star Wars, Marvel, and then, of course, DC. I'm heavy into DC. While I do enjoy Marvel, I tend to skew towards DC as well. As far as Batman, there's always, I think Batman is the most produced pop by Funko. I do enjoy the other movies. They came out with Mad Max Fury Road Funko Pops. Mm-hmm. When, I was hoping that they would have made great action figures, but they never did make action figures, but Funko made Pops. And those mystery minis, got the Matrix Funko Pops. I love the Bob Ross Pops and Mr. Rogers. And of course, being a Filipino American, we've got Jollibee, which was really exciting when they first introduced that pop. And now you've got Ronald McDonald, which I now have, the McDonald's Pops. Those are a lot of fun as well. The Funko Shop exclusives has been a lot of fun. Really, like 2016, I got really hardcore into it. And then 2018, I got to go to Funko Fundays for free, which was awesome because I got to win tickets to the Funko Fundays party. And so I told my wife, like, we got to go because this is like an exclusive party that you just can't get into. Mm-hmm. So you got to take advantage of that. And that was a lot of fun. We just flew there for like basically 2 days. I didn't even get to go to Comic-Con, but I didn't care. I just went there for Funko Fundays. And that experience alone was so worth it. It was so much fun to meet Funko fanatics from different places. And the fact that the tickets were free. I mean, these are sold out tickets. We both each got a goodie bag of great stuff in it. And we even got protos and stuff like that. And Funko really knows how to party and like treat their fans well. And the fact that not just the collectors, but like the fans are like not just loyal or just excited over like a brand, not just DC or Marvel or Star Wars. They're actually like in full support of Funko itself and the actual company. I was blown away with that. It was really fun.
What is the most rare pop you got in your collection, and what is on your wish list that is pretty rare and expensive when it comes to Funko Pops?
So it'll have to be the Freddy Funko Stranger Things. So I got that one from Funko Fundays. It's basically Freddy Funko with a baseball bat as Steve.
Oh,
Yeah.
that one's awesome. Moving on, going back to your channel, kind of want to ask you the question about how the channel got hacked earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, for those that may not know, Filmaker Mike's account unfortunately had ended up getting hacked and terminated essentially.
Yeah, so I unfortunately was checking my email in the morning and I was barely awake then. So lesson learned, don't check your email or like stuff like that if you're not even fully awake yet. The email just said like Google AdSense, which is the monetizing department of, Google and YouTube.
Mhm.
So I was looking through it and it said like, oh, there's something wrong with your Google AdSense. Like, so it said like, tap the link. So I just tapped on it without thinking much. And little did I know that tapping on that link would give access to the hacker to my channel and my email. And it was days later, I think like 6 days later, when I looked at my YouTube and then I tried logging in and I couldn't log in. And then I found out like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. And it basically like, I tried to do the 2-factor authentication and it basically wouldn't let me use my email because the hacker basically blocked my email and started now changing the picture to Judge Judy, changed the channel name to Judge Judy, started uploading Judge Judy videos. And I was like, this is messed up. What's going on? So I tried to contact YouTube and I did ask a lot of the subscribers and friends like on social media, like, hey, please help me out, flag these videos, let YouTube know that this is not a Judge Judy channel. It's a Filmaker Mike channel, in hopes to restore my channel back to me. And I just wanted the channel to be, given back to me, the access. I went through the troubleshooting of YouTube and Google, everything. And of course, since my email was blocked, there was no way for me to get back into it. So it came to a point where I even called Google customer support and I talked to this lady and I told her like I tried everything. And I told her, my channel is not even huge compared to a lot of the other YouTube users out there, but I've worked hard on it since 2008. So I just want access to my channel back. And she said, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. And I told her, well, that's really unfortunate because I've exhausted everything in the troubleshooting tips. I was just hoping like if someone could just like get in the account, and block whoever was accessing it and then just like give me a temporary password so I can change the settings and all that stuff. But before I knew it, I was hoping that they would just take down the videos and give the access back to me. But unfortunately, it said like they terminated the channel. But then I did hear like from someone said like, oh, I got my channel back, but I never heard anything back from YouTube, unfortunately. So that's when I came to the realization, like, it'd be nice to hope and pray that I get it back. But if nothing happens, well, I'm going to have to move on. So.
All right, so now we're going to play a little game here. In this game, we're going to have 5 rounds, and I'm going to name off 3 pops. And the game's called Keep One, Sell One, Destroy One. And between these 3, you have to keep one, sell one, or destroy one. And because you're Filmaker Mike and the majority of the channel revolves around Star Wars, all 5 rounds will be on Star Wars pops.
Oh, man.
So how I've done these rounds, we have prequels, original trilogy, sequels, Siths, and then Jedis. So first round will be the prequels. So the 3 pops we have listed here: Queen Amidala, the Walgreens exclusive Jango Fett, or the Smuggler's Bounty exclusive Duel on Mustafar pop movie moments. We'll kick off with MD, and then I'll go to myself and then end it with Filmaker Mike for these rounds. So MD, keep one, sell one, destroy one.
Yeah, I figured you were going to say my name because that's just how this goes. You always make it hardest for me. Okay. The one I would keep would be the Duel on Mustafar. That's just an amazing movie moment pop, so I would have to keep that. The one I would sell, I guess, would be the Jango Fett because I feel like it might be more expensive. And then I would have to destroy the Queen Amidala.
I definitely have to agree on the keep, Duel on Mustafar. I actually do own that one. I love Revenge of the Sith, so when I seen that, I'm like, oh, I need to get this. And then I'm going to switch it up. Unfortunately, destroy the Jango Fett Walgreens exclusive, even though it's so great. And then the Queen Amidala, it actually, I'm pretty sure last I checked on the Funko app, that's in the 3 digits there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Queen Amidala. But I don't know if it's went up or down since. But yeah, that's what I would do. All right, Filmaker Mike, I feel like this is going to be very tough for you for these 5 rounds.
Yeah. So, well, keep one is definitely Duel on Mustafar. And then Amidala is right now at $240. I would sell it. I just want to make sure everyone knows I wouldn't really destroy a pop. I'd rather donate it, but destroy would have to be Django.
The original trilogy. So we got the Walmart exclusive Cantina Face Off. So the Han Solo, Greedo moments, the Walgreens exclusive Cloud City Duel moments, and then Return of the Jedi, the 3-pack of Jabba the Hutt, Slave Leia, and Salacious B. Crumb. Keep one, sell one, destroy one. What do you gotta say, MD? I feel like this one's really tough for you, this one.
Yeah, this one is really hard.
That's what she said.
I'll start with I would destroy the Cloud City Duel one, just because that one means the least to me. I think I would keep the Return of the Jedi 3-pack, and then I would have to sell Han Solo and Greedo.
So I would keep the Cloud City Duel moments. One of the best moments in Star Wars history right there. And I think they did a really great job with that. I would sell the 3-pack of Jabba, Leia, and Salacious B. Crumb. And I would destroy the Cantina Face-Off, and it would prove who shot first. It was me who shot first because I destroyed the pops. So
I like it.
So I would keep the Cloud City Duel because that's just an iconic moment. Of those movie moments, that's my favorite one that they made. I'd sell the Jabba set, and I'd have to destroy the Cantina set, unfortunately.
now is it Filmaker Mike that shot first? Oh, who shot
Yeah.
first, me or Filmaker Mike? That's going to be a mystery now. 30 years later, we'll figure that one out.
Yeah, when they put it in whatever the next step of like 8K Blu-ray is, and then it was like, oh no, it was DK Wrestler. He shot first.
Right.
All right, so now the sequels, which after this was tough because there's not really a lot of them that, I don't know, it was very hard to choose from each of the sequel movies. So first one, the Target exclusive FN2187, so Finn when he's got the Stormtrooper and he's got the blood smear across his face. The Poe Dameron with X-Wing Pop Ride or Deluxe, whatever you want to call it there. Or the Kylo Ren Lights and Sounds Pop. Keep one, sell one, destroy one.
Okay, this is good. I like this one. So automatically, I think I would choose to keep the Finn. And the reason for that is going into that movie and when you see him smear the blood on the helmet, the first thing I thought was action figures. That's going to be a thing. And then what do you know? We got the action figures. I owned the Black Series one of Finn there. So I'd probably keep that one. And then I would have to destroy the Kylo. And then the Poe Dameron. Yeah, I'd sell that one. It's Pop Ride, so generally it's worth a little bit more. So
I'd probably keep the Kylo Ren just because I actually did enjoy the Light and Sound one. I think it's like at least my favorite of what I've seen just because when it lights up, not only does the lightsaber light up, but also the cracks in the helmet light up, which is really sweet attention to detail. I really enjoyed that FN2187 pop. I actually wanted to own it at some point when I first started collecting. And so it's a little bit of a sentimental part of me, that pop there. So I would sell it so that it doesn't get destroyed and I wouldn't feel bad. But Poe Dameron, I'd just destroy that one because I didn't really care about Poe Dameron all that much.
All right. So keep would definitely be the Kylo Ren Lights and Sounds. Sell would have to be the FN2187. That's a pretty cool exclusive. And then destroy would be the Poe with the X-Wing.
So now moving on to the Siths or the dark side, which I find this one to be tough, at least for me, especially because I love the dark side and the pops involved. So first, the 2019 Galactic Convention or Star Wars Celebration Darth Maul, the Smuggler's Bounty exclusive Count Dooku, or the Walgreens exclusive General Grievous. Keep one, sell one, destroy one.
Oh, I would keep the Grievous. He's a great character, and the pop looks amazing too. What was the first one? I forgot already.
Star Wars Celebration Darth Maul from last year.
Right. I would destroy that one because I think the Dooku has a higher value, but I could be wrong.
Okay. And then you would sell the Dooku.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So now, first thing I would say is that I would sell General Grievous because I know that pop has went up in the 3 digits for sure. I remember at least 6 months ago it was like $30, I would say. And now it's at least over, I don't know if it's in the 200s. At least I'm thinking in Canadian dollar, but I know it's in the 100s. I don't know how it is in American. I would say keep Dooku just because it's the only Dooku pop. Like there hasn't been another Dooku, if I'm not mistaken, since then. And it's very tough to get this pop as it is. And then I would unfortunately have to destroy the Darth Maul, although it is a really nice pop though.
So for me, keep would definitely be Darth Maul. Just because sentimental value. He was the first bad guy that we were introduced to as far as the prequel era. Sell would have to be Grievous. and Duke would have to destroy, unfortunately.
And then the last round is on the Jedis. So we got ourselves here the 2016 New York Comic-Con Qui-Gon Jinn, the 2017 Galactic Convention Luke Skywalker, where he's got the hood and the green lightsaber, and then the Walgreens exclusive Mace Windu. Keep one, sell one, destroy one.
I would keep the Qui-Gon Jinn. Huge fan of the Phantom Menace, so he was awesome. Liam Neeson was great as Qui-Gon Jinn. I would sell the Mace Windu, and I would destroy the Luke Skywalker because there's more Luke Skywalker pops to get besides that one.
I might actually have to agree on that. I was originally thinking like destroy Mace Windu because I'm not the biggest fan of it, but there isn't many Mace Windu. I don't even think there's another Mace Windu pop if I'm not mistaken. So I might have to like sell that one so it doesn't get destroyed. But yeah, there's so many Luke Skywalkers. But yeah, definitely keep the Qui-Gon because that one's sweet.
Yeah, so I would keep the Luke, sell Qui-Gon, and then destroy Mace. But yeah, that is the only Mace Windu pop.
All right, so one last big question before we end off this podcast. The future of Filmmaker Mike on YouTube. Obviously, you're working your way up again through the YouTube ranks since the unfortunate termination of your original channel. Are you just focused on having fun with the YouTube channels? You're not really focused on trying to get monetized again? What is the future goal? What are you planning with the channel?
Yeah, so it's basically that, just starting over and not even thinking about monetizing right now. If it happens, it's great. If it doesn't, then that's fine as well. I did pass 500 subscribers already. I think I'm at 510. So I was really surprised that that's happened. So I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers to kind of keep things going again. It's really tough to get a schedule with two little ones as far as like making videos for YouTube. But I'm trying to work some things out here and there. I know a lot of people are like still asking and like still like finding the new channel, which is Jedi Mike now. But my Instagram is still at Filmaker Mike. But I thought it'd be a good thing to share with you guys right now as far as Filmaker Mike. I was thinking of like trying to get away from it and trying to start something new, but then I figured like, and I realized that that's been an established brand in a sense. A lot of people know me as Filmaker Mike. So even if the new channel is Jedi Mike, I still tag the videos Filmaker Mike. So way before YouTube, I wanted to do a podcast. So I did start a podcast with some friends of mine. We've been recording for like the last 4 weeks now. So I thought I'd drop and let you guys know about that. That's coming up soon. The first one we talked about was having a private screening for The Empire Strikes Back in August when the theaters reopened here in Nevada. So that was a pretty cool experience. And the show is basically called Filmaker Mike and the Boys. We've been having a lot of fun just talking a lot about movies and TV shows, Star Wars, DC and Marvel and all of these things. So I hope that's something that people will listen to when it's up and ready. Hopefully when this episode is up as well, we'll have that available for people. Just a warning, the language there is not traditional Filmaker Mike. And I figured it'd be okay because most of my younger subscribers back then have now grown up. And it's not like, I'm sure a lot of,
I was actually going to mention that earlier. Like, to think about it, like, when I started watching your channel, I'm now almost the same age that you were when you made it, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured it'd be okay to do it in that podcast where it'd be more mature language. My YouTube would still be family friendly, you know, so I think there's a good separation there. But yeah, really excited about that podcast.
Awesome to hear. All right, guys, so that's going to be the end of this week's podcast. Thank you again to Filmaker Mike for joining us here on a Funko Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure you smash that like button to let us know that you're enjoying the content being provided to you guys on this channel. Comment in the comments section below. Press that subscribe button for more content like this podcast and any other videos we do in the future. And press the little bell beside it to be notified of when that future content gets released. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at a Funko Podcast. It'll be listed in the description below. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching this week's podcast, and we hope to see you guys next week. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Peace in, peace out.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. And until next time, may the force be with you.